Hi, everyone. It's Brad Weber here, your host for the 2023 Informs annual meeting. Thank you for joining me again for the next in special series of Informs What's Your Story? These are interviews we're going to be sharing personal perspectives of the plenary speakers at this year's annual meeting. I am so delighted today to be joined by Dr. John D. Halamka, MD, MS, who will be delivering the plenary talk on Tuesday morning. Dr. Halamka is president of the Mayo Clinic Platform, leads a portfolio of platform businesses focused on transforming healthcare by leveraging artificial intelligence, connected healthcare devices, and a network of trusted partners. Trained in both emergency medicine and medical informatics, Dr. Halamka has advised multiple government administrations, both in the United States and abroad. And if that wasn't enough, he's a practicing emergency medicine physician and runs the largest animal sanctuary on the East Coast. Dr. Halamka, thank you for being here today. It's such a pleasure. And we are so thrilled to learn more about you and what you have in store for the Informs community.
Well, hey, I look forward to it. I'm sure your questions will be prescient.
Yes, absolutely. Well, so you're trained in both emergency medicine and medical informatics. And let's talk a little bit about your professional journey and how did it start in data sciences in the medical field? Just at what point did they all come together? So tell us a little about your story.
Okay, well, I am a 61-year-old person, which means that I have enjoyed the entire development of our tech industry from its nascent to its current AI-focused and extraordinary infrastructure. So what happened? In the 1960s, I lived in Southern California, and Silicon Valley didn't exist yet. The defense contractors of Southern California were where the technology innovations were happening. As a latchkey child, I rode my bike to the dumpsters of America's defense contractors, which at the time, 1960s, they weren't locked. So I pulled all their technical manuals and integrated circuits out of the dumpsters and taught myself analog digital logic, early microprocessors. And so here, by the time I was in my early teens, I had my Malcolm Gladwell 10,000 hours of competency in microcomputing. I had this notion that this world that we were starting to experience, this digital revolution, could take the analog experience of healthcare and digitize it and give us new insights. And my entire life has been this parallel track on that idea.
That is incredible. And I was just sitting there reflecting as I was listening. I think at the same time, we're the same age. And I think I drove around my bicycle with a stick chasing T-Rexes that I made up in my mind. So I want to hear more about your role with Mayo Clinic. What are some of the ways that AI and other methods are being leveraged right now in the healthcare industry?
I'm a physician, and I finished my medical training in the 1980s. A few things have changed since then. And in my field, emergency medicine, there are 800 articles published every day. I'm a little behind on my reading. I think, could be argued that clinicians can no longer, as mere humans, keep up with a level of science and innovation that is happening every day. We need augmentation. And so Mayo Clinic Platform, our question is, can we take millions of patient experiences across not only the US, but internationally, and learn from the patients of the past to better cure the patients of the future? And that, of course, requires curating, normalizing, cleansing the data, preparing it for analysis. And once the analysis is done, ongoing validation, fine-tuning, such things as data shift and changes in the ecosystem happen. And so my team is making those things highly repeatable and scalable for partners around the world.
Well, you bring so many unique perspectives. And one of the things I want to talk about is the role that you played with policymakers. And what are some of the key points that you are trying to convey in those particular relationships as they stand right now?
So, of course, you asked the question, what is the role of government? What is the role of private sector? I would argue, having served multiple administrations, as you say, that government can set standards, such as data standards. And this, in the George W. Bush administration, the Obama administration, I led the country's data standardization activities for healthcare, creating such things as controlled vocabularies. May sound a bit mundane, but Brad, you have hypertension. Oh no, it's high blood pressure. No. You've got elevated blood. Depending on the nature of the term you use, you may be describing exactly the same thing. Wouldn't it be wonderful if we could just say, oh, here's a concept. The blood pressure is greater than 110/70. And so much of what government does is help us narrow down the ways we represent data. And then as products and services are created, it gives us a sense of interoperability, but it also gives us a sense of being able to take disparate data sources and use them for analytics in some sort of comparable way. So, on the one hand, work with government on data. On the other hand, ethics. And so it's an interesting question. If I take 10 million patients from Minnesota and then create the world's most amazing algorithm, and then I run it in Phoenix, is it going to work? Is it going to be fair? Is it going to be equitable? Hard to know. Government should help us understand what are the metrics by which we can evaluate all of these emerging algorithms to ensure they do no harm.
I swear, I think we talked 2 more hours just on what you just said. There's so much in there, but I want to go over now and talk back to what I mentioned in the intro about you as a practicing emergency medical physician. And do you still enjoy those opportunities to kind of go back into your medical roots there?
So I see about 900 patients a year, and I have a very unusual skill. I am the nation's expert on poisonous mushrooms and plants. As an emergency medicine toxicologist, every child in this country that ingests something inappropriately gets referred to me. And what is my role? See, I don't know if you've ever had to give activated charcoal to one of your children. There's going to be more activated charcoal on you than in the child. And if I can say, oh, that is, the mushroom is just a very simple, mushroom that is not toxic in any way, take the child home and, explore the forest another day, I will have done well for that family. And so much of what I'm doing, as you say, is trying to make a difference by helping others navigate the healthcare system with my expertise.
Amazing. I literally, this is surreal. Yesterday, a neighbor came over with a bunch of mushrooms that they found in their yard, and they said, "Hey, do you know what these are? They look very similar, like a type you'd find in the grocery store. We're gonna." We've looked online. We're gonna try them out tonight. I'm like, I really recommend that you not, and that you might want to have those checked out. So they actually did have them checked out, and they would have had to met with you if they had eaten them. So
well, exactly. So tell your neighbors better kicked than picked.
Yeah, I love that. So let's talk about your plenary session. We want to keep the mystery alive, but is there anything you can kind of share with us about some of the things you're going to be covering at that plenary?
Sure. So having been at this for 50 years, what I can tell you is 2023 to 2024, really the first time in history where we have the data in its depth and its breadth that we need, the tools that we need to create novel models, both predictive and generative, and the compute that we need to do that. And of course, we need to start wrapping this with various kinds of policies, protections, workflow integrations. So what I'll go in the plenary, I'll discuss the journey. And it's not just Mayo's journey, but I travel about 500,000 miles a year. So I have a sense of what's going on globally across government and academia and industry as we begin to turn data into wisdom.
I'm going to switch gears a little bit. And, obviously one of the other things I mentioned in the intro is you and your wife run the largest animal sanctuary in New England, and Unity Farm Sanctuary. I have to hear how this came about. As an animal lover myself, I'm just dying to hear, how did this all come about?
Interesting issue. It is a community benefits startup. And what does that mean? In December of 2011, my wife was diagnosed with stage 3A breast cancer, metastatic to the left axilla, and she had the question, I don't know how this radiation, this surgery, this chemotherapy is going to go. I want to ensure we leave something behind, that we make a difference. And so we sold our small home in Wellesley, Massachusetts, and moved to farmland a little bit more to the west. And back in 2011, 2012, when you said, I want to buy a bunch of socially distanced, biologically isolated land, everyone would say, well, why would anyone want that? So Wellesley was hot, Sherborne was not. And we ended up with initially 15 acres, then 30 acres, and now 100 acres with 22 barns, 300 animals, 1,000 volunteers. And every day we have programs for the elderly, the disabled. We have a preschool. We have summer camp. We have an extraordinary array of activities that benefit the greater Boston community. And yes, it's about rescuing the large animals, because these are cows, horses, pigs, donkeys. Right. But it's also rescuing the people. And we, all of us at this time of great anxiety, a lot of people need rescuing.
Yes. Wow. That is incredible. Thank you for sharing that. And thank you for all you're doing. So maybe this isn't a fair question, but is there a particular animal that's your favorite?
Of course. It's like asking which of your children is your favorite. Yeah. Right? But so how about this? Dudley, who is our 3,000-pound Scottish Highland bull, 6-foot horns, generally a favorite of visitors because he's so friendly. And you call him by name, he comes running to you, he vocalizes, and he loves back scratches. So Dudley's a good one.
That is incredible. I so much want to come up and visit, that's for sure. So obviously there's a lot going on with AI, and that's all you hear about these days. And it's attaching and going into every kind of market. Is there ways that AI and data science are in your work as working with rescuing animals?
So as you might guess, as a math, science, engineering person, I'm responsible for the facilities and engineering of the animal sanctuary. My wife, as art, humanities, and philosophy, is education, volunteerism, fundraising. So we have 143 Internet of Things connected devices, all Google Cloud hosted on a 12-node Google Mesh network, providing continuous streaming of temperature, light, all aspects of control systems to Google Cloud for Google Analytics. And so you are correct that using Python and PyTorch, I am able to direct all of the operations of the farm from my Android phone. And in fact, every day we just say, open the farm, close the farm, and it just happens.
It continues to be an accelerator, and that's quite a network you have set up there. So we're gonna go completely off kilter here and go do something completely different. We're going to talk a little bit about celebrities. So what celebrity have you been most likened to or said you look like?
So this is going to sound very peculiar. And, you've just got to know me, my voice and my mannerisms. I walk through airports and people think I'm Jeff Goldblum. I don't know, separated at birth.
It's funny. Your voice reminds me of Eugene Levy, and I don't know if you've heard that before.
Oh, well, yeah. So how about this? So I might look like Jeff Goldblum. I may sound like Eugene Levy, but I really want to be Tom Hanks.
There you go. Well, and you got that going too. Oh my gosh, that's so awesome. So don't hold back any details. What is the perfect day for you? Weather, where you're at, what you're doing. What is that day for you?
Sure. So I would argue that none of us know what every day will bring. And we just want to say, did I do all I could? Did I make a difference? Did I make an impact? Because I do live on an animal sanctuary, we live here, the day starts about 4 a.m. That's the point at which chores start. There's always things to repair, feeding starts, that kind of thing. And so the earliest part of the day, a quiet time, is time for animals. And then, say about 6, still a reflective time, reading, catching up on undone email, writing maybe some of the things that I'm going to publish that day. I try to write almost every day. And then meetings, Zoom, Teams, Meet, or on-premise meetings, depend on where I am in the world. They'll go throughout the day, and they're quite varied. So literally every half hour, you could be government or investigation of new AI or new projects or new partnerships. And that's really invigorating. And you can say, we hope it all adds up to something that makes a difference and creates a change. And then in the evening, my wife and I both have these extraordinarily busy days, but we get together to reflect on what did it all mean? What did we learn from it? And then spend the evening in quiet conversation. We do have 3 dogs that live indoors with us, 2 pit bulls and a Great Pyrenees. And so we have a 3-dog night every evening.
That's awesome. So you might have already answered it, but relaxation. I mean, there's so much going on, as you said, and we have to really take care of ourselves more than ever. There's just a big crisis out there when it comes to just self-care. What else do you do to relax?
So isn't it interesting when somebody asks me about work-life balance? You really ask us, life is a continuum, right? It's just every moment you just live to your fullest. So it's not as if my wife say, oh, we're on, we're off. We're just always on doing what we think is most important. Now that could be Mayo Clinic, or it could be shoveling manure. It is all part of a continuum. So I don't know that my wife and I really have a sense of, oh, we need to go to some tropical locale and have downtime or relax. We last went on a vacation in 1984, so I think they're highly overrated.
Oh my gosh. Well, they can be very stressful. It's like you're planning to not plan, and can be very stressful. So I have to say, I do this a lot. I meet with a lot of amazing people. This has been so inspirational and also aspirational, this conversation. It's been a sheer privilege to speak with you. So looking forward to seeing you in Phoenix. Thank you so much for all you're doing for Informs and the Informs community. This has been a real pleasure.
Well, hey, glad to serve. See you in Phoenix.
See you in Phoenix.